even I didn't mean to say that, because a lot of times there are times where we may not be present in what we're saying. We may say things out of projecting, out of trauma, out of maybe not fully knowing the situation or understanding the situation. So sometimes you can say, I didn't mean to say that in that moment, if the sentence continues, because I may, then you say, what lesson taught you that this was something maybe you shouldn't have said? What brought you to switch that thought? And I think that's the most important thing. What brought you to be like, oh, wow, I shouldn't have said that? Because that you can carry with you. And a lot of times we get stuck in that, I didn't mean to say that. And then we forget that, like, we forget the lesson that we learned.
I hate that phrase so much.
Really?
I hate when people say, we're going to intro this part very soon. Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all, but we're having a convo beforehand, and then we're just gonna roll in. But I hate the phrase, I didn't mean to say that. Because yes, the fuck you did. Like, that's in my mind, right? Yeah. And that could just be me as a drama starter or whatever. Yeah. Like, I'm being dramatic, whatever, bro. Like, I rarely ever, like, say something that I don't mean, right?
Yeah.
So whatever I say, I stand on it. Whatever it is, right? So if I say something to hurt your feelings, or I say something and you take it in whatever type of way, whatever way you take is whatever you take, right?
Yeah.
But I try not to say things that I have to double back and be like, I didn't mean that. I mean everything I say.
Yeah.
Everything I say.
Yeah.
Did I mean to hurt you by saying it?
No,
maybe. But I don't ever want to say I don't mean it. Like, that shit just, that fucking blows my, like.
I get what you're saying. That's even when I said I speak from the heart, right? It's kind of going with that mentality of, in my life, I got tired of being in a place of saying, damn, I wish I didn't say that. No, work on the problem so you don't even get into the situation of you wish you didn't say that. Because you mean what you say, and sometimes you can't take those words back. But sometimes that I didn't mean to say that I believe it should come out of, if it comes out of misinformation or not knowing the whole story, or literally just seeing it a different way, I can accept that as well from somebody. I can accept somebody coming back around to say, hey, I've looked at this situation, and actually, honestly, the way I reacted and the things I said, I didn't mean for it to come out that way, or I didn't mean, because we have to give each other that grace to do that, you know. And sometimes, they meant what they said in the moment to you, right? But it may not be really what they felt or really wanted to say. Anger comes into play. Sometimes we might just be in the petty, going back and forth at it. And a lot of those things, if you only focus on that and then you say, no, everything you said, I mean, there is no space for forgiveness, reconciliation, or anything.
Of course. Oh my gosh, he is. Yo, it's Sheila. Okay, hold on, wait. We're gonna get into this conversation, right? So, like, I want to talk about intention versus result.
Intention versus, oh wow.
Intention versus result, right?
Wow.
But first, I just welcome to another episode of the You Good Podcast. Scary Pop Brother Mike StayBlessed in the building. First, I just want to say happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody celebrated with their families or their loved ones or both. I hope you had a good one. I hope whatever food you ate, if you're vegan or vegetarian, you don't eat turkey, I hope whatever you cooked was amazing. Hope it was seasoned properly. Hope everything was good. Hope you had no drama, no stress, no nothing. If you're financially fortunate, I hope your Black Friday weekend, Cyber Monday shopping was amazing. I just overall, I'm just hoping that you're having a great holiday spirit. And if you're not having one, I understand. I hope it gets better. I hope your situation gets better. Trust me, and anybody that knows, if there's something that I can do personally for you, reach out to myself, reach out to Syndicated Entertainment, and let us know, man. We're here to spread cheer. I know at holiday times it's very rough. People sometimes don't have their families, don't have anything.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to make sure that everybody's good. Like Eon says, free Eon, miss my brother. Want to make sure that your spiritual, your emotional, your mental, your physical is good. Your financial is good as well. As you can see, I'm wearing another Colors to You Good merch. We are officially out right now. The You Goody hoodie is out. Not just hoodies, we have crew necks, we have t-shirts
too, bro.
It's a fire, and it's You Good on the back. So we have everything. We have the merch is out. We've been asking, and we're delivering right now. So everything is out. Just make sure we're partnering with StayBlessed Worldwide. a wonderful company ran by a wonderful man. Just go to StayBlessedWorldwide.com. It's a section there where you can go and get the You Goody hoodie. And it's fire. The material is great. The logo, everything's designed. And, if you're really truly a fan, we definitely would like to see the support on you. We see it in the numbers, but we also just want to see it visibly. Buy the hoodie, take your pictures, send it to us. We would definitely love to repost anything that you send over to us. Who knows, man, Also, congratulations to our winner. I was able to get the winner beforehand. So shout outs to the homie Corinne, who won the raffle. She won a free You Goody hoodie. So we're gonna connect with you. Make sure you get that. We also won a free Chatting with D mug. Also, shout outs to Chatting with D. If you haven't supported the Kickstarter, please do. Sorry, that was all. I had to get the intro out the way.
That was great.
All right, so now we're just gonna get into our guest for the day. Honestly, this one was one that I've wanted to have for a very long time, right? For anybody out there who has had the pleasure of speaking to this man, or even if you don't know him, but you've had the pleasure of listening to this man, previously was a part of the Real is Real podcast. So now we've officially had 3 out of 4 of y'all on. Theo, we waiting for you to come on, Brody. But this guy was
I didn't think of that.
the fountain of wisdom behind the camera. Somehow, some way, I was able to get him in front of the camera today. Also the creator of the Your Mental Health Matters podcast. And he also has the Praeditos Your Mental Health Matters clothing line out right now as well.
Yes.
This guy, wow, you're doing a lot. Oh shit. Ish, my guy, please introduce yourself.
Hello. Number one, bro. Thank you. That introduction was dope.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the kind words if someone wants to listen to me, I appreciate that. But my name is Ishmael. Everybody calls me Ish. For the people that really know me, you call me Boomy.
Okay. I'm going to start calling you Boomy now. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to call you Ish.
Mostly Nigerians call me Boomy, so I understand.
I'm Nigerian, bro. I'm half Nigerian now.
Oh, yeah. You're fully... come on. Call me Boomy now. So Oluwa Boomy, too, if you want to.
Oluwa Boomy?
Oluwa Boomy.
That's an Igbo name?
No, it's a Yoruba name.
Yoruba.
Yeah,
oh, I'm going to have to take that out. I want it to be right.
But... where do you start when you're introducing yourself? This is what I tell people to do on my podcast.
Yeah.
And I just watch them do it. But I am the host of Your Mental Health Matters conversation. I'm also a photographer. I came to this country when I was 8 years old. So I've been here, 20? Let me not do bad math. But y'all can do the math. I've been here for a while now. Stayed in Brooklyn, went to college in Buffalo, went to the University of Buffalo, shout out UB. Graduated with a psychology degree. And the best way I describe myself is I am a creative and a mental health advocate and a child of God, obviously. But those 3 statements are who I am: a creator, a mental health advocate, and a child of God. And that's what I stand on in everything I do.
All right.
Oh, and also, Your Mental Health Matters apparel. I always forget to say the apparel for some reason because I always want the message to shine. But Your Mental Health Matters apparel available on Praeditos.com. You can get that, and it's all mental health based. It's all for your mind. So
I find this very interesting, right? Because we are never our biggest fans. Like,
yeah, man.
We are never ever going to be our biggest fans, right? Like,
I'm trying to change that because you should be your biggest fan.
Listen, as another person that does a lot, right? You have a list. Like, sometimes you get put on the spot and you have to just run through everything that you do, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I do this. You're not gonna just be here and go through everything.
Yeah. And
it's not.
And even for me, it's like sometimes even in outside situations where I'm doing introductions to people and maybe somebody's introducing me and like I'm so in the moment that it's not about like what I do is who I am, So it's like I don't want to list off a bunch of things to people because it's gonna come up,
Exactly.
It's gonna come up and if we're interacting and all of those things. I don't lead with that. I lead with myself, and then I say all those things. But sometimes you just you forget all the things that you do. Even when I was just saying it in my mind just now, I was like, wow, we
Exactly.
thank God. But I'm trying to change that. I believe that you should be your biggest fan. You are your number one motivator, so you should be your biggest fan.
Like, and nobody knows everything that you're doing but you, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's always going to be people that like forget one thing, or people that are only focused on one thing, and you may not be focused on that. So you can list off 1,000 things and forget that you have a podcast, and somebody else is gonna be like, "Oh, remember your podcast?" I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh shit!" But you're not. It's not that
It's
you're
where
not
you're focused on it.
exactly.
Even like I said for this year, like it was a goal of mine. And I thank God that I was able to stay with that goal of making sure your mental health matters was
Exactly.
at the forefront, because that's something that's so important to me. And although I love photography and that's my passion, and I love doing things behind the camera,
I forgot you was a photographer. You forgot to do pictures too. Oh shit! Like it's just a lot, right? Like,
but I made a commitment to like follow what's in my heart, the
Mhm.
what I feel purposed in. And sometimes I forget when I'm having a conversation with somebody, like what just happened right now, where I tell people I'm also a photographer. I edit every day. I look at photos every day. I'm always doing things that involves photos every day,
Mhm.
but that's now in my private time before I want to, come back into
Yeah.
that space to make it public again.
Definitely, man. And it's like, it's never a bad thing to like forget things, right? Because now
We thank God.
it's
We thank God for the things.
it's actually a confidence booster for me.
Yeah,
Like,
we thank God.
I'll go through a whole list. I'm like, I did 1,000 things, and somebody like,
Mhm.
oh, you did 1,001. Oh, nope, add it to the list. So it's like,
And I think also, I think you can connect with this. It's always also about like, yeah, we did this 1,000 thing, but and we it's about appreciating the 1,000 things you did. That's what we're talking about as well, right? Learning to appreciate it. But our mind always goes to that. There's another thing. There's this other thing that now we want to spawn off because of that 1,001 thing. Like that's how my mind works. And I used to think that was like a bad thing. I used to think I wasn't really taking it in the stuff that I was doing, but I just learned that that's my system.
exactly.
I had to learn to apply gratitude at all times, but that's my system. It's not that I don't want to acknowledge all these things. It's that I'm actually already working in my mind on how to do something else, or I'm in the process of trying to figure out what that something else is going to be.
Dope. All right, so there's like 1,000 places we could start, right? Like, we can continue our conversation because I do want to ask you about
Yeah.
intention versus result. As you saw earlier, we were discussing not meaning the phrase "I didn't mean that," right?
Yeah.
Like you're talking to anybody, it could be like a significant other, it could be a coworker, it could be a parent, whoever, your friends, whoever you're talking to, right? The phrase "I don't mean it."
Yeah.
We had that discussion, and I really want to go into intention versus result,
Intention
which is
versus result.
something that I have been struggling with in the past couple weeks. I'm not gonna lie to you,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes you have conversations, and that phrase "I didn't mean it like that" comes about, right?
Mhm.
Or me saying, "Yo, I hate saying I don't mean it like that." Like I meant that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I may not have. You just interpreted wrong or whatever, right? So sometimes we have a conversation and it goes into, we know what our intention is.
Yeah.
My intention may not have been to hurt you or, demean you or belittle you, whatever it is, right? My intention may not have been negative, but the
Not
result,
malicious.
yeah. But we end up in a negative space and we end up in a bad situation, right?
Yeah.
So how do we distinguish one, intention versus result? And should there be more of a focus on one or the other, right? It wasn't in the doc. I'm sorry, like, it's just, but I think we're just
No,
having a good conversation. Like,
I get. I think number one, the first thing is you can't control how somebody takes anything you say. You can't control. That's something out of your control. And that's something that then needs to spark another conversation in your mind. What happens if somebody takes something that I didn't mean to say out of term? How do I react? What is my reaction or response to that? So let's start with specifically intention. If I didn't intend to be malicious, if I am telling you something that I am just trying to convey to you, and I feel it's the best way I know how to convey it to you, and then you take it the wrong way, I think where we get stuck at is we get stuck at, oh wow, you're taking it. Either we get stuck at, oh wow, you're taking it the wrong way. I didn't mean it that way, or the person is just like, you definitely meant it that way. Da 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 da. Right.
Ooh.
And I think and now where are results. So I think it's a step further when you think of intention and results to be like to understand that first thing that I said. I can't control how somebody takes if I'm saying it in the nicest way and they're hearing it in a different way because of maybe their past experiences or maybe a past trauma or a past trigger or a past situation that just didn't sit kindly with them, and now they're seeing the same remnants of it, and now it's creating that same emotion into them. So it might not be me. It might just be the emotion that's happening within them that made them take it that way. That they don't even want to see how I intended to say it. Even when I want to explain, I have to understand that. And I also have to understand maybe I didn't use my words correctly. Basically, intention and results. When you're in that situation, you have to lead. You have to lead with understanding, with discernment on both sides. I didn't mean to say it that way naturally because this is how I communicate, and I'm seeing that this communication for you doesn't work. How would you prefer for me to communicate this thing and maybe they can say to you now, hey, this is how I would have preferred it to be said, or this is how I took it in. And now you can work on something to say, hey, you're not in that situation anymore. This moment, you no longer need to do that with me anymore. If there's a friendship or it's a relationship, it's family, this space, I understand it. And I want you to know that that's not what's happening here. And I will also take accountability to let you know that I will try to change my words a little bit, because it's not changing you, changing your words. That's all you have to do to make somebody comfortable when they're in a space with you. But it all comes down to understanding, intention, and results. The only way we can always get on the same page, if I did something wrong, or if you took it wrong, is for us to come to an understanding. Ooh. And not just fight it out.
I missed my gunshots. Walt. Shout out to Walt. We got Walt in the building today. I missed my gunshots. Shout out to Walt. I miss my sound effects. This new setup just got me like, I can't really just be.
And I hope I answered that.
No, you answered it correctly. You answered it correctly, and it's interesting, man. And I can't give too much. But
no, bro, I'll put myself in the situation of how I ever learned that. I didn't mean to hurt you. That is the reality I am sitting in. But you are sitting in a hurt reality. Did you say that again?
Sorry. Come on. Oh, yes, even Siri. Come on. Even Siri's not even fucking focused on the results. Come on. I didn't hear that. Oh, thank you, Siri. Yo. Nah, continue. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, just even in personal experience, to learn that is, if I didn't mean to hurt you, but you are hurt, am I just going to choose that I didn't mean to hurt you and just tell you to accept that? Or am I going to take a step further to understand why you are hurt and then convey? Because sometimes a lot of times it wasn't you. I did a post yesterday, don't take it personal. It wasn't you. Usually it's not you in that moment. It's what that moment has created. It's the remembrance in the subconscious mind. It's all of those things that's happening to a human being in a moment. So if you can reach a hand out and say, hey, I understand, or I want to get a better understanding, you will always get a better result. And the result that you started at, you can change. And that's what I learned.
This fucking guy, man. This is funny. One thing that I learned is that you always have to acknowledge the result. You always have, listen, if you're in a conversation with, no matter who you're talking to, no matter what, oh shit, come on, man, listen. I just got some StayBlessed orders too, man. Shout out to StayBlessed for a while.
Thank God.
But one thing that I'm learning here right now, right, is that if you are in any type of situation, any type of misunderstanding, the result is important. Very important, only because you have to understand what you have done to somebody. No matter
accountability is important.
You're saying a lot of keywords right here, my
accountability
brother.
Is important.
Accountability understanding, communicate, like all that shit, man. All that cliche shit is not just, it's real shit. Like you have to understand what the result is, how we got there, and more importantly, just understand your part in it. And that's where accountability comes in, right? Because there is something that was done to end up here.
To get to
and it's not just your fault. It's not just another person misunderstanding what you're saying. You said something, right? Even if they misunderstood it, you said it.
Yeah.
So,
and that's also, you can help somebody heal that way too.
Listen,
you can be a part of somebody's healing journey and reaching out a hand of understanding and reaching out a hand, because that's how you heal a situation. If I say some A and you say B, hurt my feelings. So now, but I don't acknowledge it. And we just move forward. That's still open. Even if we want to pretend it's not open and now we're out for ice cream, that's still open. And that's gonna, it happens. Everyone that's been in a relationship, you can contest this. It happens 3 months later that we left that open.
And then the same shit happened.
We didn't heal it.
We're repeating the same shit.
And now we're gonna repeat it again. And now it's bigger.
Of course.
Yeah.
If you leave a wound
untreated,
and then you just open it up, you know?
And plus it's that's why I said, like, you can pretend it's not there, but it's there.
Exactly. And you also leave it becomes easier to open the wound up again. We've all had wounds, right? Yeah. We all got cut before. If it doesn't heal properly,
it's just easier to it's
easy to pick at it and let it open up again. Whereas when it fully heals, okay, now the body is trained. Like we are trained as human beings so that when something heals up, it takes a stronger force to open it back up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now it's like, now we have to really truly focus on keeping the healing strong.
And that's part of intention too. Intention is choosing to choose the healing version of things instead of just it's easier to just leave. It's easier, and not even removing it from wounds right now. Like, it's just easier to not talk about it, right? Exactly. It's easier to just move on from it if everything's okay. But it will cause bigger issues, and that's in the mental. That's out of relationships. That's in anything. If you don't deal with it, it's gonna come back around.
Of course, you got to make sure that you nip it in the bud, but
address it.
Yes.
We can't, nobody, one thing I had to learn in my life is nobody's saying I need to fix it in this moment. But if I'm only saying I need to fix it, that's why until I have the plan to fix it, I'm not going to address it. I'm doing myself a disservice. As long as you're addressing it, you'll get to a solution. But you have to address it. Because if you just say, I'm waiting to just have that epiphany of how to fix things, that's not how life works. Everything's a process. Give yourself the opportunity to go through a process to fix something.
Amen, man. Hey, fucking man. Listen, you want to co-host? I don't know when my co-host is coming back. So you want to? I don't know when he's coming back.
Bro, if you ever need me, listen, I got you.
I don't know, man.
I got you.
No, man. Nah, shout out to my guy, man. I miss my guy, man. He knows I'm joking. Hold on, what my drink?
And shout out to Eon, man.
Yeah, shout out to my guy.
For sure.
Man. I really miss my guy. I'm gonna hold you. All right, so let's go into a little bit about you right now. So you are the creator of the Your Mental Health Matters podcast.
Yes.
Right. And also the apparel. Show them the apparel, man. Looking good, man. YMHMS. I can't even.
Hashtag YMHMS. Your Mental Health Matters. Go to Praeditos.com and you can see all the. Sorry, shameless plug.
Well, of course. Listen, man, we got to, man. I'm gonna put the link in the bio. Your mental health matters.
Yeah.
I love that phrase. Can you go into how that phrase came about? Like what began Your Mental Health Matters? Did it start around
It started around the pandemic. It actually started
Black Lives Matter, all that.
Yeah, 2 months after we all shut down. Oh no! Actually, I'm sorry. The month.
The month we shut down.
The month we shut down is when it started.
I could not go one pot without burping on it. Can't go. Anyway, Your Mental Health Matters, please.
Well, for me, mental health has always been something that I've battled throughout my life. Ever since I came to this country, I always say mental health chose me. I didn't choose it because school was easy. But my emotions were hard. Dealing with my emotions were difficult. Dealing with my mind was very difficult. And I really didn't have any reprieve at my younger age. And when you get older, in my story, my parents moved back to Nigeria when I was 17. So I had complete autonomy at 17. And then I went away for college at 17. So you go a little crazy. And
So you were by yourself. Not by yourself, but no parental
no
guidance.
parental guide. And obviously I speak to my parents and everything, and they were wonderful. My dad paid for college, shout out to dad. But
Nice.
where I'm getting where I'm saying in your mental is I've always dealt with stuff in my mental. Even that time, I had to grow up as a man and learn different things that I just never knew life intended. And I don't like to say this, but it's the truth. A lot of our parents' generation didn't teach us of the crevices of life. They taught us of the big things: get a house, get a job, get this degree, and all that. But they didn't teach us about heartbreak. They didn't teach us about when anxiety runs your life. They didn't teach us about fear. They didn't teach us about how to control your impulses. Like those things you have to learn yourself through life. But like it would be great if somebody told you, hey, you're gonna experience some of these things when you get older. So like I had to I went through all of that and then depression. And for me, your mental health matters came about with my inner talk to myself. I studied psychology, and I only studied psychology because I needed to figure out what was happening. Like it was a secret battle that I never had anybody to talk to about it. I never felt safe in any space to really talk about it to anybody. But it was a secret battle, and I knew things weren't going right in my mind, even through college, even through moving and doing all of those things. And it was what really made me understand and take hold of my life was me it's your mental health, bro. You can't go and by the way, I try to go around it. I try to be like, nah, it's not my mental. I'm good. I'm chilling. I can get through anything. I don't have any. I try to do that as well. Deny it and all of that. But it was constantly in my mind, always saying that, no, it's your mental. It's your mental. If you fix your mental, you'll see progress. And it wasn't until I started doing things to assist my mental health, doing things to learn more about myself, researching more about myself, talking more, sharing, finding spaces that I felt safe, that's when I created Your Mental Health Matters. Because right before then, I would say in that last year before then, my whole life flipped. And it was because I decided to pay attention to my mental health. I knew that I'm gonna have this brain for the rest of my life. It was with me, it's with me now, and it will be with me at the end. So I have to know what to do with this brain.
Yo.
So that's and for me and that brought into purpose for me because I've always felt like the kid that didn't know why he was here. I know we all have that, right? I felt untalented, ungifted. I dealt with those things, and then I thought, like, how many other people are dealing with those things? Because I growing up, I cared about how you felt. I was just naturally like that. We could talk about ball, we could talk about everything, but how are you? And then I started to learn that like the enemy was trying to put me on an island when no, there are people here that are going through things. And when I started to learn the things to assist myself, I was like, nah, I gotta share this. I have to share this. And if it's just like I was telling you, if it's just one person that this assists in their process in figuring things out, then that's it. And but to answer your question point blank, Your Mental Health Matters came from me understanding that I want to help people and assist people in their mental health journey, whether and whichever aspect they're going through. And I also feel like and I would say this is my connection with God. I have a weird, I don't want to use the word weird, but I look at life very differently. And I used to hate that, but now I love it, and it's still the same brain. So, like that's why Your Mental Health Matters is so important to me because we all have the ability to move ourselves forward, and I want us to understand that power and know that power.
I think that was probably the reason why I just said, yo, what? I think that was one of the most simple yet powerful things I probably ever heard in my life. To be honest, and that's just real. Just me being 100% honest, right? Like we legit have one brain, right? Now, for all you bio majors out there that know how the human body works, I don't know how the human body works, but this is what I know. This is what I think, right?
Yeah.
So, like, the brain controls
your.
it just controls
not
you.
just the body. It controls your choices, your decisions,
like
everything.
So it controls the things that you do, right? It's like a muscle.
It's a muscle.
It's legit like a muscle, right? And it, there's a few muscles that we can replace, right? Like, once again, I have no idea, but there's things that we can, if we break it, we can rehab it. There's things that if we tear, if there's muscles that tear, they heal, things like that. But the brain is, like you said, we only really get one brain.
You get one.
And we have to tend to it because it really is the catalyst for every day.
And it was that was a realization for me, and continues every day, that this is what assists. This is what does it. It comes from the heart. I feel my spirit. I feel but what does the process? What processes it? What makes me do it? What allows? It starts here.
Exactly.
Everything starts with a thought. It starts here. And if we make this the low thing on our totem pole, it doesn't matter how high you get. It doesn't.
If you're not right.
If your mental health is not right, it doesn't matter. And you have done yourself and the people around you this injustice by not prioritizing your mental health. And I tell that to everybody, because it's not, and for me, I know it's not a conversation we have often out loud, that it's not something that everyone talks about, your mental health, but that's something God placed in. We have to change that. Or why are we deceiving ourselves and thinking that we can do everything else and not pay attention to this?
Why do you think that, like, mental health is so taboo in our society, right? Or do you even think that it is taboo?
Yeah, I think. Well, this is my opinion on it, and is that the stigma around it, a lot of the older generation, this was not even on their rear view, and nobody wants to be judged. No human being. You can sit here and say you don't care about other people's opinion. Good for you. Great. I'm glad you have that process. But you still don't want to be judged by somebody saying, "Oh, there's something wrong with you." And a lot of people, that's fearful. That starts secret battles. And I think a lot of times it's just like we don't have the language, number one. We don't have the actual language to be able to express how we feel. But it's the shame and the judgment. And I think if we can start to bring more understanding into the spaces of when somebody talks about their mental health, and not just dismiss them or label it or give it a name. It's a real thing, man. If life is going great for you right now, that's based on your mental health. It's like if you feel peace right now, and even if you, and I always like to say this to people, because it's like, oh nah, you can. I wasn't focused on my mental, and my life is still good. Now let's break it down. What are your routines like? You have great routines. Do you have good habits? These are all things in mental health. And it's about understanding those things for you. And then once you understand that, cultivating it and making it greater, making it better, and then serving others and giving it to others so other people can feel what you're feeling. That's mental health. It's not just, oh, I just want to be happy. There's a process to it. And I think a lot of times the process, people don't want to talk about the process because the process is not always beautiful. And I don't know. Sometimes I just think we feel very unsafe in this world to tell people what's truly going on in our minds, and we need to change that. It changes. Everything changes when you can talk to somebody about what's really going on. When you feel like you can find spaces for that. When you feel like people are going to be open to you. But we don't have that in the society because a lot of people Number one, don't want to deal with that. And number two, just believe that you're gonna judge me. Or the shame is just on you. Like, I don't want to be that. But we all go through things. We all are going through things. So that's our commonality. Mental health is our commonality. The emotions I've felt before, you may have never felt. I can tell you about it. And maybe if you feel it one day, you can be like, well, I heard a story and maybe I'm going to change it to how it's going to work for me. But I have a basis to know this is not the end. Or this is like, these are the powers we have if we share our mental health journeys and talk about mental health.
Oh my God, you are dropping gems like a clumsy jeweler right now. You go hold you.
Like clumsy.
Like
yo, his analogy. What do you get these?
Cool. Nah, I just being serious right here.
And just FYI, if you listen to this podcast, when I speak, my mind just goes. So I do apologize.
No, look, like this is. Like I said, I was very excited for this podcast, right? Because me and you have conversations often. We should probably have a little more, but whenever we do talk, it goes. Like we was at LeVar's, shout out to LeVar, he was at his birthday outing, and me and you were just talking, and it was like a half an hour later.
I remember that conversation too.
Yeah, we were just having I genuinely enjoy talking to you, right? And I genuinely appreciate all of the things you have to say. One thing you really just said that stuck out to me, right? Like, if you're having a good, like, if life is going well for you, that's your mental health.
Your mental health.
Right? And just a little bit of transparency here. I'm about to get married in a month. StayBlessed is doing pretty well. Podcast doing well, right? I have a decent paying job. I'm work remote, I wake up every day, I have breakfast, that's available. Like, I have a good life.
Yeah.
I have a good life.
Mm-hmm.
I've had probably the worst months of my life in the past couple of months, right? Like the worst. And mental health. And people around me have come to, like, I've spoken to people and I'm like, yo, things are going on, this is going on, whatever. And they're like, Mike, you have to really focus on, or you try to focus on, like, all the good that's going on in your life right now, right? Like, and I'm just like, I really just fucking can't. I cannot for the life of me, right? And it's because I'm up here is not where it should be, where it's supposed to be. And for all of the, for all the you good fans, you all have been there for me in my journey with my mental health, like, and me knowing myself personally that there's things that I can do better, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it comes down to things that you said, right? Being able, do you want to be weak? Do you want to be vulnerable? Do you want to give people power? Because a lot of times talking to people is giving them power. We live in a very malicious world. Any power that you give another human being can be used against you. Yo, and it could be used against you in the worst way. And you have to be mindful of what you say, what you do around people, how you act, what you share, because all of that can come back to you if shared with the wrong person.
Yeah.
So because I think that, mental health is very taboo because we're not used to being so vulnerable, right? And then even the people that are the most reluctant, being able to find the right person, right? Because once I'm comfortable with somebody, or once I get vulnerable with somebody, I'm at that person's mercy.
Yeah.
Yo, now I'm trusting that you don't share my weaknesses with the world.
Yeah.
Or I'm praying that you don't use my weaknesses against me. So, and I sort of, like, I feel bad for those other people because now they're going to be scrutinized even more. You could say one thing that I think could even hint at my weaknesses, and I'm like fucking going crazy. Like, whoa, what are you doing here? Now I regret even talking to you. I'm never talking to you again.
Yeah.
Which goes back to intention versus result, right? Like, they probably they're not even thinking about that, but because I'm so triggered and because I've just been holding so much in. And now I'm just going away from me. Like, anybody that, just wants to share shit and doesn't necessarily know how to, or doesn't know what to do once everything's been shared, it's like that's even more of a mental battle.
I think the first thing is language, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the way we talk to ourselves even before we talk to somebody else. Number one, the word weaknesses is a very important thing on how you're saying what you're going through is not a weakness. It's part of your human experience. It's not a weakness. And for you, and that's what makes us feel like, oh, it's so. Number one, I'm not saying go speak to anybody. Find you have to you have to find the space. You have to find the right person to talk to, right? But even if that person ever divulges anything, the don't make it that, oh, you gave a part of me away or anything. When you speak to somebody or when you say it out loud, that is so much for you. That's why therapy is so important. It is for you to be able to release. It's for you to be that's the important thing. That's finding, like, my best friend. Like, sometimes I'm not looking for advice from my best friend. I'm looking just to release, just to say things out loud. And that's the most important thing. It's not and if I feel it's a weakness, I have to remind myself, no, this is just part of my experience. And even in the Bible, when I'm weak, I am strong. So I stop thinking when I am going through something, because that literally keeps me in isolation mode, or it keeps me thinking the wrong things or choosing the wrong thoughts, thinking that what I'm going through means I'm weak. I'm not weak. I'm not weak. I am having an experience. And I should talk to, like I said it earlier, I used to just not I used to battle by myself. But now I have a good village of people that I can go talk to, and I feel safe there. And also, if they were to ever, like, backstab, God forbid, ever backstab me or anything, it's okay. It's fine. I was still, that release is it's the most important thing. And that's why even your mental health matters, is giving space for people to come and release. Just release it, and don't think it's a weakness. Don't think that you shouldn't do that, because like just what we said, humans turn things against you. Eventually in this life, you're gonna have to be vulnerable. You can do it now, you could do it later. But I'm telling you, what I'm learning about this human experience is being vulnerable now with yourself, within those around you, within the things you're doing, is only going to set you up for greatness in the future. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is part of your human experience, and it's something you deserve to feel. And this society, we need to get a hold of that we are creating spaces and a society where that is not a fact for people. And we are literally cutting people off from being able to really get help. I don't.
I'm
Sorry.
about to put my drink down before I start crying in this bitch. I ain't gonna lie.
Even when I was talking just now, I was like, I need to stop.
I'm about to listen, man.
I when it comes to the mental, man, for me, I had to learn the first thing is how you talk to yourself. It's the language you use to describe what you're going through. But it's also understanding that everything is temporary, and everything can be really a lesson. Everything is. And it's not, it's one of those, when you're in it, it's like you don't see it as a lesson, but if you just keep pushing through, taking one step, don't try to get the whole thing. Just take one step. That's mental health. Take one step. There's always good things move in that direction. But if you focus on the other things, it's where you get stuck. Is where nobody deserves that. I've been there. Nobody deserves to be stuck when they have the power to move themselves forward.
I mean, it's on where your focus is, right?
Yeah.
Manifestation. What do you want? Right?
Exactly.
Not just what do you think you can do. What do you want?
What do you want?
Like, when it comes to the mental, and listen, I can be a hypocrite, right? But this is something that I'm trying to take this into myself.
Yeah.
And I hope that anybody listening could, just take this as, if I don't give you nothing else, just take this with you, right? Like, there's nothing stopping you from, like, really pushing and achieving what you want mentally, right? There are avenues, like there are places that you can go, things that you can do, people that you can talk to, right?
It takes courage.
Sometimes it's tough, right? Because
It takes courage.
speaking as somebody from experience, everything sounds so simple. Everything sounds so easy. Oh, reach out to somebody. Go speak to a therapist, whatever. Or go do this and write something down or really change your perspective, change your shift. And,
Mm-hmm.
you'll start seeing things better. It's never that easy. Anybody can agree with me. Like, if you disagree with me, please hit me up and let me know. But it's never that easy.
But I often think when people say it's easier said than done. Yes, because everything requires a process. It's gonna be like
we
you
live
have
in
to,
we live in a very entitled.
and instant gratification.
Exactly.
World,
Even myself. I wish I could press a button and just be eternally happy, to be honest with you.
and maybe for me in my experience, I've just learned that I don't want that button. I don't obviously I don't want to suffer and I don't want to go through those things, but I've accepted that's part of life.
If you find that button and you don't want it, just give it to me, bro.
No. But what I'm saying is, in hindsight, on a lot of things that I've considered suffering,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many lessons. There's so many things that I have now. I was talking to my mom the other day about this one mistake when I made when I was like 22 and something,
Mm.
and I was like, and she was saying something, and I literally said, "But if I didn't go through that, how would I know? How would I know to appreciate this now?"
I said that on the last episode. Mistakes it's like fertilizer.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you just can't grow without it.
You can't grow without a process.
Exactly. Right. Like,
And we live in a society that likes to skip the process. And hell, I've been in moments where in the middle of it, I was like, wait, nothing's wrong. I'm just trying to resist the process of this thing. And that
you don't
changes.
want to people.
You don't want to go through the process. And every emotion where you're gonna feel, every hard thing that's gonna happen to you, every good thing that's gonna happen to you is gonna require a process. It's gonna require a process to heal. It's gonna require a process to build. It's gonna require a process in every, and if you can come to terms with that in your mental, that this shitty way I'm feeling right now, I can't just flip it overnight.
Exactly.
Let me start the process to flipping it.
Exactly.
Changes things.
I think of it as another analogy here. It's right. Like people play the lottery every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's like they're looking for that instant big bag.
Yeah.
As opposed to the process which you're talking about, where it's like you can, like, if you build and work to it, building that foundation makes it so much harder to break.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting that one-time big bag and you blow through that shit, and now you're relying on that
on that again.
Yeah.
And the foundation gives you personality, character, integrity, morals. The process in foundation, like all of those things opens that up for you. You get to see things within yourself
and it gives
you never even knew was there.
And also gives you flexibility.
Exactly. And flexibility as well.
Right.
And if you don't go through that, like in that same thing, obviously we'll all be happy if we win $1 billion. But
well, you never see me again.
If you don't go through the making 100,000, making 200,000, making 500,000, understanding how that money moves, understanding how those taxes go, then you make your first if you go through that process, when you have 10 million, your story definitely ain't gonna be like, I had 10 million and I blew it. You have way too much experience to understand why you shouldn't blow this 10 million. You actually know what accounts you should go put it in.
So, but you know how to make it again if you ever
you know how to make it again if you ever lose it, because the process teaches you these things. And plus, the people that come into your life in the process, the things you build and create that may not be for the overall goal, but now you have this happens in the process. But if you skip it, you miss out on all of those things. And I'm saying that for in anything you want to do, anything. Just know, once I've decided I want to do this, there will be a process to it. I accept that. And then I really believe you can move forward that way, because part of the process, part of why when we say it's not easier than said and done, is not every day is going to feel jolly. Not every day is going to feel like you're on top of the world. Some days are going to feel damn right terrible. Part of the process.
And once you learn the process, I mean,
And
I'm
you
repeating
get in,
myself. Like, but
I no, go ahead.
once learning it is a big portion, a
Of
very
life.
important part of the battle, right? Because now you're like learning it. You can also teach it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can become that. Like you can start the growth, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can
Can
listen
expand.
exactly, right? You can teach other people the process. You can modify the process
Yeah.
and learn and have it to fit to just you personally.
And those are structures. Those are structures. Because in the process, you develop a structure
Mhm.
as well. So you can pass on your structures to other people, but the process is always going to be personal. It's always going to be yours. You can't nobody's going to go through your exact process, but you can give somebody the tools and a structure to assist them in their process.
Exactly.
And that's even for me and me and saying I understand this. I battled this in my life too. I still battle it.
Mhm.
And understanding that maybe why this thing isn't moving is because I am thinking it should happen tomorrow
Mhm.
when I haven't put a plan, strategy, or anything in place for it
Exactly.
to happen. And these are the things when you dive into your mental, you learn what works for you to get these things, to make these things move forward for you. What is your process? What does that look like? And by the way, it's not going to be the same process for everything. And that's part of the beautiful part to me about the human experience. You can learn different processes and you can gain different things from those
Mhm.
processes. And you look up after a while, if you focus on that, damn, I done built a life. I done built a whole life just based on making sure I stayed consistent
Exactly.
to this understanding.
Exactly. And then whatever you've built, it doesn't break.
It doesn't
It
break.
can't break
It
because
can't.
like I said, like the process is the foundation. Once you have a foundation, that shit can't break at all.
Not at all.
Wall guard, just quick. How much time we got here? Because
We're just going.
we got another hour. Thank you. All right. Come on, man. See, and this is what I was telling you. So
Yeah,
when we get to
conversation
the
just
couple other
go.
questions. We have a couple other questions that we didn't even
We didn't
go,
even
man.
address, but I love this conversation.
No, of
I think
course.
it's super important.
It's definitely right. One thing before we go, I just want to just fully address you're heavily spiritual. Like your
Yes.
relationship with God is probably the
It's the most
strongest
important relationship in my life.
that you have, right? Speak to that and how that grounds you. Or does it ground you? Like what role does God play in your life and in your mental health as well?
It plays every role. Faith and building a relationship with God has been the life-changing thing for me.
Mhm.
And the thing I want to make sure I continue in my life forever. Like I've made that decision. And it grounds me because I've always had God around like me. Like
Mhm.
meaning like my sister's very spiritual. My mom's always spoke God to me and all those things, but I never took it in, you know? I never like really took it in until about 25, where I started to look and just start reading stuff, start praying more. And then I just understood that like once I started doing that, my life started moving in a different way. And I'm not saying everything just became beautiful. I'm saying
Mhm.
inside started changing. And I just think faith with your mental makes me know I will never give up. I will never give up. It
Love
is
that.
it is not possible because for me to give up, and that's how I've connected God into my life, is for me to say that his power is not sufficient. His promises won't happen. The work he has started with me, he won't fulfill.
Mhm.
And I will never say that about the God I serve. And that's what that's the relationship I built with him. And when I think about God and I read the Bible and I see different things that'll cast your anxieties onto him and stuff like that, a lot of the Bible talks about your mental, talks about some of the things that you're gonna think about, some of the worries you might experience in life. And it was like when I started seeing that too, I just knew that I knew that with this is the relationship that if this is strong, everything else in my life will be okay. And I live by that. And I live by that faith. And it's faith. Your mental needs faith. It needs hope. It needs these things. And for me, it also needs to be connected to something higher than you. Because we get burned out, we get disappointed, we get discouraged, we want to quit stuff. Like that happens in your experience. But what keeps me grounded, what keeps my foundation is Jesus Christ. Is knowing that he started a work in me and he's going to complete it. But I also have a role in that. And I also have a role to understand that I'm purposed in this world. And purpose and mental health go hand in hand. Your mental health helps with you to fulfill your purpose. And in all of that understanding, what ties it together? God. So I always tell people, I'm not here without God. My vehicle, or what he has placed in my heart to speak about, and what he has placed in my life, is mental health. And what he has called me to is mental health. Because what is a problem in this society, in this world? Us not paying attention to our mental health. And I always stay with him to guide me through that calling as well. So he's the most important thing to me.
I was going to ask, you probably already answered it for me, right? Because like, is God your foundation or your supplement?
He's my foundation.
All right.
There is no, like, I don't know. I don't see when I say language, right? But I'm just going to say it as bluntly as I can say it. I hope that if you have a long enough conversation with me, we eventually will just talk about God.
Oh no, you listen. Every time I speak to you, like, and you always tie it into God. Now, me personally, I'm trying to build my relationship back with God.
Yeah.
Right. I think growing up, my mom was heavily religious, heavily spiritual. Go to church every Sunday. She still does to this day, right? And I was deeply involved in the church.
Yeah.
I would go to church. Shout out to my guys. Shout out to my peoples. POS, what up? But I would go to church, and then along the way, I don't know if it was college. I don't know what it was, to be honest. Because even when I went to college, like, I was going to church.
Yeah.
I would try to go like bi-weekly or whatever, right? But somehow along the way, I can't do. One day I'm gonna do a pod and not burp. But like, maybe the drinks. Somewhere along the way, I lost the relationship with God as I knew it. Now, my relationship with God is always there. I'm not saying it's not like lost completely.
He's always there with you.
But I wasn't as committed to keeping it as strong as it once was.
Yeah.
And one thing that I learned is I think my relationship with God grounded me. It kept me very grounded. It kept my faith strong. It everything that I did, all my accomplishments, I attributed
it stems from
it stemmed from the strength, the abilities, the fortunes that he has given me.
Yeah.
And once I started losing that, I really felt myself becoming a completely different person.
Yeah.
Right? Like a different person. Now, some people's foundation may not be faith.
Yeah.
Maybe whatever it is.
Yeah.
Maybe their work ethic, maybe results, whatever it is, right? I know me personally, I am a testament to what somebody whose faith is strong and foundation is strong. Once you lose that grounding, how it can change you completely. Or even when you get it back, because I'm trying to get it back now, right?
Yeah.
I've gone to church a couple times in the past couple weeks. I don't go nearly the same amount that I've gone recently that I used to go, and I'm trying to build it back up, but I'm slowly starting to get my grounding back.
Yeah.
I'm slowly starting to understand that there was something that was missing from my life.
Yeah.
And now that I'm getting that back, I don't know, I feel more powerful. I don't explain it. And this might be the first time that I've said this to anybody, right? So it's the first time that I'm starting to feel that power, that belief in myself, the faith that I have in myself that I used to always have. And now, like, I felt was just dwindling badly. Right now I'm starting to get that back in myself because I know I have God to rely on, to fall back on, and also to empower me to,
Yeah.
And that may not be everybody's cup of tea, right? That may not be for you. Whatever works for you,
Yeah.
find whatever foundation works for you and build on that and grow that and keep it strong.
Yeah.
Right. And whatever, like if it ties back into the like make sure you find that foundation and you keep it strong. But I think that I'm learning what used to really ground me, and now that I'm starting to get it back, I can feel it.
Yeah.
Like I'm starting to feel it.
You said something that's super important, and for me, like I had a conversation with my pastor earlier this year about how I want him, like God, to come out more in my work, but I also understand. I also understand. I'm not the person to push it in your face. I'm not going to be like God. I'm not. I understand you have to meet people where they are, and then maybe when that conversation happens. So the best thing I would say is what you're doing. Try to just build a relationship, whichever way that happens for you. It doesn't have to be those exact way someone tells you it must happen. Like for me, it didn't happen when I share your story. I went away, and when I came back, it it wasn't traditional. It was. I even tell people in my story, it was a lot of anger to get back here. A lot of anger, but it's about building a relationship. And plus, this is the one thing I tell everybody of why it's so connected to mental health. And for me, I learned this in my depression. What happened to me in that moment was man, meaning this human race, could not do anything for me. That's how I felt. There wasn't a kind word, a good gesture, anything. Therapy, again, emotional, as I said, there was nothing. I was lost. And I was lost. And it wasn't until I understood that, like, I have to place my faith, my understanding on something higher than myself, something higher than man, something higher than what man can just give me that can be that can just go away. Nothing's permanent. Everything's temporary. He's permanent. That's what taught me that this is the most important relationship. Because when man can't do for you, God will.
I miss my gunshots, man.
And that's why it's connected to your mental health. Because we all get there in our mental. That we don't know.
And like you're saying, like sometimes we can't get there on our own. Sometimes we can't. And like you said, man can't do it for you.
God will.
And you need a divine being to push your ass to where you need to be. And for me, that's God.
Yeah.
For you, that's God.
That's God.
Right? And whatever you practice, whatever religion you practice, whatever you follow, whatever you believe in,
it's access. The simplest way is I say it is access something higher than you. Try to develop a relationship with something higher than yourself. That is what is going to get you to fulfill the purpose you want in your life that he wants for you. That's going to get you the satisfaction you want in this life, the happiness. It's not about you. Your mental health matters. It's not about me. It's not about I am going to get my human experience one way or another. But if I place him in it, I at least know that this human experience is going to be impactful. It's going to be for a purpose, and it's going to be real. And I think that's why we should always try to connect with something higher than ourselves, because it happens, man. You're going to get discouraged. You're going to want to quit. You're going to feel like it happens. But if you connect to something higher than yourself, you're going to have a strong foundation to be able to say, this is not my end. This is not where I stop. This is not going to finish me. And you say it could be other things for other people, right? I believe, and maybe I know we got to wrap up, is what I'm going to say. It can be other things, and I believe that. Find what works for you. Find what works for you. Find what works in the trajectory that you change the thoughts, that it changes how you look at the perspective. But most importantly, whoever, I hope you're not turned off by this, but most importantly, find a relationship with God. Just find whichever way that works for you. And I always like to tell people, you can come in whichever way you want, B. You can come in whichever way you want with him, whichever way you want. Don't let anyone dictate that to you. It's your relationship.
Exactly. Whatever your cup of tea is, find it, build it, grow it, strengthen it,
and see what it will do for this life of yours.
You know, I used to say, in order for us to be able to accomplish superhuman things, we need superhuman help. You know, and
I love that. You do.
Like, in order for us to be able to do that,
you need divine. You need. I always pray for it. Divine manifestation and divine. And I heard a sermon about that. Divine manifestation and divine guidance. Because part of faith is believing in the things unseen. And if you live a life where you only believe in things you can see, and we know there are mad people that, I'm not coming at y'all, I'm just saying, eventually you're gonna hit a wall.
Exactly. Because everything has a limit. But once you strengthen your relationship with the higher beings,
it's limitless.
The power is limitless.
It's limitless.
There was a few things I definitely want to discuss. Real is real. Y'all saved y'all are safe, because we were gonna ask what was the real reason that y'all broke up. But you know what? I'm gonna leave it for another day. I'm gonna be messy another day.
Just for if all my brothers, if you're watching, I wasn't going to say anything. He was going to get nothing.
Now we was gonna get to the bottom of it, because ultimately I think, and I'm just before I just want to. You were part of the Real is Real podcast.
Yes.
We had Skills on here a couple months ago. I think y'all built something amazing.
Yes.
And I'm, as a fan and a friend, I'm very sad that y'all are not around.
Yeah.
Right? Now, whether y'all decide to come back or not, or I'm hearing some rumblings in the I'm hearing some rumblings. I don't know what y'all doing. I don't believe nothing y'all say. Whatever.
I don't believe nothing y'all say.
I don't believe nothing y'all say until I see it. But I think that y'all really created something special.
Yeah.
And, the four of y'all really, like, y'all had something dope.
Yeah.
So to see it not around anymore is sad to me, right? So if it comes back, whatever. If it don't.
Like we were just talking about, we give that to God.
Hey, man.
We give it to God and let him work it out.
It's cool, man. Quickly, before we wrap up, listen, I hope y'all were able to see just what I get to experience every time I have a conversation with this man. Really intelligent, just a brilliant mind, right? And not just a brilliant mind, just like he's a relatable mind, right? Like, you grew up here, you went to a SUNY, you haven't come up any different than our main demographic comes up, right?
Yeah.
So for me to be able to come and speak to you sometimes, it's just letting me know that, there's one, still brilliant minds out there. And two, is just, you can have a conversation with somebody and everybody's come up maybe the same, but our paths in life are different.
Yeah.
And life is different, right?
Yeah.
So being able to speak to you sometimes, I always get a gem out of it. I always get something amazing out of it. And I just hope whoever listened got something out of it too, because you said some things here, and I'm just like, wow, right? It's things that I'm still going to take back in my own life, my own personal relationships, friends, like significant, like whatever, right? Like, I'm going to take those back, and I'm going to be able to, like, use some things that were said here, especially that brain part where, like, understanding that we don't, like, our brain, like, we only get one.
Yeah.
So we gotta keep it as strong and healthy as we possibly can, right?
And bro, I just also want to give you your flowers.
Appreciate it.
Because ever since I've met you, I don't remember how many years we've known each other now, but like,
I don't know either, bro, to be honest. But
it's always a good vibe. It's always, and I hate to use the word vibe because it's past vibing with you. It's always a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like you feel the comfort, you feel the goodness, and I think it's very rare. You're a very rare breed of being able to bring people together, and you do it it seems easy, but I know it's not easy, but you do it very seamlessly, and your heart, and I think that's why we have great conversations, because you have a good heart, and you are not, you're not one of those people that aren't open to hearing things and being able to really understand things. And I think don't stop that. Continue being you, continue having that good heart. And it's always a pleasure speaking to you, bro. It's always a pleasure. And continue doing this. Continue doing all that you do, because a lot of times you inspire, bro.
Thank you. I
You
appreciate it, man.
inspire, you motivate, and to see your passion it's always it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, man. I genuinely appreciate it. A few weeks, somebody asked me what I think my purpose is, right? And I'm not, I'm not gonna just like say this and just, have people, oh, he's just saying it to say it, right? One thing that I genuinely want to talk about, one thing that I genuinely want to do, right? One thing that I genuinely want to impact the world with before I leave it.
Yeah.
I try to say that if you feel better after you meet with me, so before you meet with me, if you felt better after you meet with me than before you meet with me, then that is a win in my book.
Yeah.
It's a win in my book. I love love. I love laughter.
Yeah.
I love just putting smile on people's faces. And I think, like you said, man, like it's genuine.
Yeah.
Like I don't stand to benefit from my interactions with people, right? Like, but I genuinely want to see people happy. I genuinely want, like when I see my friends, fiance, family, when I see they're sad, my first instinct is to try to make them happy, whether that be a laugh or advice or whatever. Like I want you to feel better leaving me than you did when you first got to me.
And that's something I always say, it's the leave it better than you found it spirit.
Exactly.
And when you meet those type of people, it's like it's beautiful and it's encouraging to let you know that there are people in this world like that make sure that they are thinking about that interaction with you and making sure that they left you better than they found you.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know. You literally never. And that's why I believe in kindness. I know, just a quick part. Kindness, you just never know what you're imparting on somebody that can change them, that can help them. So it's best to be kind to people, because you might think that small kindness didn't mean something. Could have been the biggest thing for a person. So.
Yeah, man. It's just, you never know how much of an impact you have in people's lives. Like
you don't.
You never know, and you also just don't know the power that you have within yourself.
And just quick, just in that caveat. Also, I just hope we stop focusing on thinking we only have power if everybody can see it.
Mm-hmm.
You have power in your home. You have power within your friends. You have power within your life. You have power in your proximity. It doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. So for you to believe that you have the ability to assist and be a helper to somebody, don't let this world fool you about that. This life is deeper than that. So don't lose that, and don't just say, oh, because it's not a grand scale, I shouldn't do it. No, do it.
Do what you believe in, man. Do what you feel like you're called to do. And the world will put you in the right places that you need to be.
Yeah.
Ish, my guy.
My brother.
My guy.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you very much, man. Listen, I appreciate you.
It finally happened.
Finally happened, man.
It finally happened, man.
Finally got Ish on. Listen, I don't want this to be the last time, to be honest with you.
No, it won't. It won't.
I definitely want to come on and have more conversations with you.
Yeah, next year, your mental health matters conversations. We're doing a couple of new things, so
let me know.
Definitely gonna be hitting you.
I would love to come back on. I was actually on an episode of your mental health.
Yes.
Of that podcast. So check that episode out.
I don't know the episode number, but if you go on Spotify and Apple, you will see his name right there.
My name is right there, so check it out. Let him know. Praeditos, Praeditos, Praeditos.com.
Yes.
You can go get your mental health matters apparel, your Praeditos apparel. Also, he does do photo shoots. So if you
Photo
need,
shoots, video work, if you need
Yeah.
any of those, hit me up.
you did a video work for yo, I'm adding on to your list.
When we were talking, I just didn't want to say it. I was like, I
Wait.
completely forgot about the video part.
Yo,
But, you know,
yeah, he did one of the videos. I need another video and another photo shoot.
well,
But I'm a little broke right now.
my creative juices, as we were talking before we got on, has just been building up, festering. I'm ready to unleash.
Listen,
I'm ready.
I can't listen. I would love to do it whenever my funds get back up to it. Because I don't want no discounts. I don't want you to be like, nah, I'm not gonna do it for the love. I'm gonna be like, no.
Yeah, and plus, like, we just gotta start saying in 2023,
Exactly.
I love you. I'm not doing it for the love though.
As you shouldn't.
Like, I love you though, but like, love me too.
One thing, like, especially, and I think this is like almost 2 years ago at this point. But
Actually, let me take that back. I was just joking.
Nah,
I'll do it for the love of some people.
I mean, hey man, but I don't want you to do it for the love for me. So it's like whenever the funds come back up, I'd love to do another photo shoot, another video shoot.
I just took it back. I didn't mean that, you see? And it's because I went through a process in my head to be like, no, there's actually you. There's these people I would do it for.
But the result is somebody's gonna think that they can get it for free.
Yeah,
so you gotta deal with that. It's not my fault. It's my guy. Thank you for pulling up, man.
Of course.
Is there any? So please like, listen, subscribe, tell your friend to tell a friend. Please, man, support us, support myself, support Eon. The merch is out. StayBlessed.com. Get some You Goody hoodie merch, as long as some Stay Blessed merch as well. Praeditos.com. Holiday season's coming up. If you really love somebody, you get them some Stay Blessed or some Praeditos merch.
Facts.
Until next time, love y'all. Stay blessed. He is I am him. That's some Eon. Scared Proud Brothers signing out. Appreciate y'all. Stay blessed, man.
Have a good one.